The question was direct, simple, binary, a yes or a no.
Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warning further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you, but I will answer the question to the best of my ability. As I said, we will look and investigate any case involving any victim. I'm not familiar, there were 3 million pages, of course, with that email, but of course, we will look into anything.
The Epstein files contain an email. In that email, Jeffrey Epstein describes a young Ukrainian woman and tells Steve Tisch, the co-owner of the New York Giants, to call him rather than leave a written record. Do those emails constitute credible evidence warranting further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Yes or no? Zoe Lofgren has been in Congress for more than 3 decades. She is a former chair of the Committee on House Administration. She is a former member of the House Judiciary Committee. She is not a freshman lawmaker learning how oversight works. She knows the difference between a question that requires nuance and a question that requires a direct answer. This was the second kind. Bondi said, "I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you." That sentence is not a legal objection. It is not a claim of privilege or a reference to an ongoing investigation. It is the Attorney General of the United States telling a senior member of Congress that she will not answer the question she was asked because she has decided the format is beneath her. Lofgren tried to reclaim her time. Bondi talked over her. Lofgren said, on the record, what she thought of what had just happened. Without responding to a question, she has attacked me personally. I think it's pathetic that she can't answer the questions. Then Bondi launched her counteroffensive. She told Lofgren she found it interesting that the Congresswoman kept going after Donald Trump, the greatest president in American history. She asked how much money Lofgren had taken from Reid Hoffman. She noted that Lofgren had not posted anything about Epstein on her social media accounts during the Biden years. Reid Hoffman is the co-founder of LinkedIn and a major Democratic donor. Trump asked the Justice Department to investigate him last November, citing his ties to Epstein. Hoffman has acknowledged limited contact with Epstein, said he regretted it, and has been one of the most vocal advocates for releasing all of the Epstein files without redaction. He has pushed for more transparency, not less. Bondi invoked Hoffman as a weapon against the Congresswoman, asking why a co-owner of an NFL team appeared in an Epstein email telling someone to avoid leaving records. Those two things are not equivalent. Donating to a political campaign is not equivalent to appearing in an Epstein email about a young Ukrainian woman. The fact that a Democratic donor had contact with Epstein does not answer whether an NFL co-owner should be investigated for his own documented contact. One is a deflection. The other is the question. Jim Jordan, the Republican chair of the committee, had to intervene multiple times during the exchange to call the hearing to order. His presence as a defender of the administration did not prevent him from recognizing that the room had lost any semblance of functional oversight. During a recess, Thomas Massie, the Republican who co-authored the Epstein Files Transparency Act, who voted to subpoena Bondi, who has been among the most consistent critics of the DOJ's handling of the documents from his own party, stepped outside and told reporters what he had observed. She didn't answer anything. She came here ready to talk about the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, which seems kind of crazy to me. The Dow Jones, the NASDAQ. During a hearing about whether the co-owner of an NFL franchise should be investigated for documented correspondence with a convicted sex trafficker, the Attorney General was prepared with talking points about stock market performance. That is not an accident. That is a strategy. The binder that Bondi carried into the hearing, the one that contained Jayapal's search history, the one that Raskin called a burn book, the one that Massie described as flashcards for insults, also contained market statistics, opposition research on Democratic members, economic data, everything designed to change the subject, run down the clock, and produce a clip of a Democrat being attacked rather than a clip of an attorney general being held accountable. The Lofgren exchange contained all of it, a specific documented question about a specific named individual connected to documented Epstein correspondence, an answer that refused the format of the question, an attack on the questioner's donor history, a pivot to the greatest president in American history, and a final declaration: this isn't a circus, this is a hearing. Massey heard that last line. He had his own view on what the hearing was. She came here ready to talk about the Dow Jones. Here is what the Steve Tisch question was actually asking. The Epstein files contain 3 million pages released by this administration. In those pages, a name appears. That name belongs to the co-owner of an NFL franchise. The correspondence associated with that name contains a reference to a young Ukrainian woman and an explicit instruction to call rather than write. The DOJ's July 2025 memo said no further charges were warranted in any Epstein-related matter. The law that produced the 3 million pages was supposed to enable the public to see exactly this kind of evidence. Lofgren asked, does this warrant investigation? Yes or no? And the Attorney General of the United States said she would not play a yes-no game, attack the questioner's donations, invoke the stock market, and called the president the greatest in American history. The answer was never given. The record now shows that it wasn't. Bondi was fired 14 days later. Among the reasons cited by multiple sources across CNN, NBC, The Washington Post, and The New York Times was her handling of the Epstein files. The question Lofgren asked is still unanswered. The email still exists. The correspondence about the young Ukrainian woman and the instruction to avoid leaving records is still in the public database. Bondi is gone. The files remain half-hidden. And the new acting Attorney General went on Fox News and said he does not understand what it would mean to name the abusers. The hearing was not a circus, but the answer to the question was never given.